Hi, my name is Austin Bullock. I am a 6-year broadcaster along with a girlfriend and being a father. But the one thing I have learned from being a dad is you need to be prepared for either the greatest or the worst. Preparing for crying, pooping, peeing, and raising is why you need to learn baby steps. Know what your baby wants.
It is always awesome to have all of you here. I would love to give a warm welcome to another lesson to baby steps. The fourth lesson we are teaching you today is very similar to the last lesson I taught in the third lesson of sterilizing a baby bottle. But in this lesson, it's the exact same thing. I am teaching you how to sterilize, but we're not just going to be doing a hands-on sterilization this time. We are going to be doing a demonstration on sterilizing with a sterilizer. Now I'm going to show you what a sterilizer looks like, okay? It's in a bag. Oopsie. Okay, I'm going to try and get it out of the bag here because it's pretty big. Here is a sterilizer. This is something that you use to sterilize your bottles very well. Now, I know what I said to all of you in my last episode based on I don't usually use a sterilizer that much because basically I don't really need to because I know the hands-on way. Well, when I used this for the first time, I witnessed to myself that, hey, this thing really works well. Okay, so before I send you to a demonstration onto the lesson itself, how to use it, I want to show you what it looks like. Now, if you would see this in the store, okay, you would think to yourself, man, what do you do with this thing? How do you even use it, right? It's too big just for a little bottle. But you see, when you're sterilizing a bottle, it's not really just the inside of the bottle or the outside of the bottle itself. It's the equipment that counts too, right? Because when you are sterilizing everything of the bottle, the baby is going to be drinking the milk out of it, right? Because you have the nipple, right? You have the lid of the bottle that you put the twist on, right? Because that's like the worst for germs, really. And then you take out the rest of the equipment because all kinds of milk will be stained on there. You definitely don't want that either, right? Now, there's a top on this that you need to use it for when you're going to be microwaving it, right? And here contains bottles, things like this. So I'm going to show you something, okay? With one of the things I sterilized today as a test, I did use one of the bottles. Now, if you don't remember from last week's demonstration, take a look at how much steamed this is compared to actually how much it was when you did it hands-on motions, right? Now, I'm going to put this down, but I want to show everybody and read everybody a few steps of sterilizing a bottle, okay? Now, I don't know if anyone can see this, but it's called baby steps process, okay? So we're going to go to the first step here, okay? If anyone can see this part right here. The first part, like I taught you guys last week, if you ever are sterilizing it hands-on, make sure you have your equipment on a piece of paper towel. So I'm going to read this to you. Place your bottle equipment on surfaces that won't be exposed to germs or dirt. To prevent germs, lay your bottle equipment on a piece of paper towel. We already discussed that. You don't want to expose your equipment that you would use for the bottle that you would need to use for the formula of the baby that they're drinking out of on exposed tables, exposed desks, is all that contains dust and dirt, right? The second part is the bottle, right? You have to fill up your bottle with the hot water. Let's read that demonstration. Fill up your bottle with boiling hot water and put the top onto the bottle and make sure it is tight, and use 2 layers of paper towels to hold the bottle and thoroughly shake the bottle for 2 minutes or more. Now, what I mean by 2 layers of paper towel, I mean get some pieces of paper towel, put it around the bottle, okay? At least, okay? And then make sure you try your best to tighten up that bottle because boiling hot water can hurt your hands. So just in case if it comes through the bottle a little bit, always make sure you have that as a guard of your hands, or use rubber gloves or latex or something. It's very smart that way to do so. Now, the next part of your part here. Now, my print is a little messed up, so it doesn't show the nipple really. It's a tiny bit of nipple. I don't know if you see it. But it says here, after sterilizing the inside of the body of the bottle, your biggest, most important step is to sterilize the nipple of the bottle. Now, if you don't notice, I mentioned in last week's lesson that the most important equipment of the bottle to sterilize is the nipple of the bottle, as that is the part where the baby is going to drink out of from the formula, right? That's where all the germs would be. So that is why that is the most important part to sterilize at the bottle. The next part, now this part I should have first up here, but this part where it has a little soap. Now, I'm gonna read this to you. Usually you can do this before or after sterilizing your bottle, but it is important to wash out your bottle to get rid of the sour milk smell out of the bottle. To know your results, you'll notice a bit of steam in the bottles and how clean they look. So what I mean in this little demonstration is before you even go sterilizing your bottle, make sure you smell it. And if it smells sour, like sour milk, make sure you wash it with soap immediately. Always make sure that with hot water and soap. And then after you know it's washed and all those spectacles are out of any little milk, make sure that's when you sterilize it. That's why you always have to make sure your baby bottle is sterilized and clean at all times, okay? Now, the last part, of course, this part you already know of. That part is when you put the milk in for your baby, right? After you see the bottle sterilized and cleaned, that is the time to fill up your bottle with your baby's milk. Now, I want to give you that demonstration before taking you to the sterilizer lesson is because that is a very important lesson to know and track in your mind daily. Always make sure to follow those steps, okay? That is called the baby steps process. Make sure you always remember that, okay? If anybody needs a copy, I will send it to you by Facebook on a document or by email. I have no problem doing that whatsoever, okay? But before we get to any more talking, let's take you to the demonstration on how to use this big guy to help sterilize and kill those germs on your bottles. Let's get to the sterilizing lesson.
Here is the first part of the sterilizer. As you can see, that's where you insert the water. You fill up halfway right over these parts where you see the line. To begin, always make sure you put on the water. Now, as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm filling it up all the way up until it reaches those two line points that are up. You see that? Like where it is halfway. And then after I'm done, I put it right down, and that's when I'm done filling it up. You can use cold water for it. As you can see, here's the white part that you would put right on top of the white part that helps from when the water is getting boiled through those little air holes. It can cause little steam to come up, and which is what you want for your bottles and equipment to look like. Now, as you can see, I'm getting these two yellow stems here. Now, you can either stand them up, right, inside these big holes. If not, you can just lay them flat, right? This helps you from like having any problems with the equipment moving around and causing a fire. Here's the yellow stems, here's your equipment. Now here's the little nipple if you want to put it right in there if you need it for another bottle. Okay, there's another. Now as you can see, all the bottle equipment is in there, all separated, okay? Now here's the most important part. Make sure you put this huge lid on there that is supposed to cover them up so water doesn't splash, so steam does not get out of the sterilizer. That helps it keep in with all the steam and helps it get sterilized properly. Always make sure. Now it comes to heating up your sterilizer. Now as you can see, it's 421 here, but really it's 430. As long as it's there at that time, then it will be steamed up nicely. Now here are the results to show you how good a sterilizer works if you use it for your bottle equipment. Let's open it up. Here you go. Here's all of your equipment that is still intact. Now let's take a look at one of the biggest equipment here, okay? Let's take a look at the bottle. Let's take a look at it. Look at that. Look how steamed up that is. Now think from the last review that I did from doing it hands-on. As you can see, that's way more steamed than it ever has been. Now that is a total of a good steam.
You just learned the sterilizing lesson with the sterilizer. I showed you very brief and very simple lessons how to use it, okay? Make sure you always clean the sterilizer as well. Because of course, I know hot water kills everything, yes, but you should always wash it because where else do the germs go? The germs are gonna be in that water, and then once if it dries up or once you pour it out, it doesn't mean all the germs are gonna leave with the sterilizer or the water, right? Now, before I get off at the end of this episode, I want to explain the quiz that was in last week's lesson end of the show. If you don't notice, people, I put everybody on a quiz, a little promo I added for every episode at the end of each one, which I call it Know Your Baby Quiz. Now, if you don't notice, I gave, I believe, 4 or 5 questions in the last episode about how to sterilize a bottle. I asked you little questions that were multiple choice or truth or false, right? Now, you're going to be receiving that every single end of each episode. The reason why I add that into each episode is because it helps you remember and memorize each lesson and each step to help you gain successful results into your part of trying to do the stuff for your child, right? As I said, it makes your parenting easier. It makes your parenting so much easier, right? So when I do this, and it's gonna help you memorize, and at the end of each season, I don't know how long I'll keep up the show for, but I'll keep it up for as much as I can. So at the end of each season, you're going to be getting something called a final exam. So each season will be a final exam based on everything in the episodes that you've learned. So I'll ask you 1 or 2 questions from episode 1, 1 or 2 questions from episode 2. Same thing going on with every episode until it's done, right? And everybody knows that usually one season contains 10 episodes. So you'll be getting each episode of 2 questions from each episode, okay? Now, as I want to say, I know I do a lot of talking in these shows these days, but the more the social is very important just as well as the physical. Now, as I'm going to use for every episode, because if you don't notice, I let you know your comments a lot based on what you've learned and based on what you've actually taken the time to say. Now, we're going to have something called commenting review. So, what I'm going to do is, every single day and every single week, I'm going to be taking you back to your comments, to the people who wrote the comments. I'm going to be letting everybody know what the person said, because that is the right thing to do. So we're going to go by that step right now. So let's go to the first comments, the few comments I got in last week's video. Let's go to comment review as we're here now. Now, I don't know if any of you remember Courtney Leach. Courtney Leach commented, I believe, into the third lesson based on the formula. Courtney Leach in this week basically was not very exactly professional in her own words, okay? So, I mean, when she mentioned, I can't really take you to every little thing she said, but a lot of you, if you guys see in the comments, she was putting me down by the scoops I used, by the, basically how I was doing it and stuff, and she was arguing with me by how many ways it takes and things like that. But Courtney Leach, you have to understand one thing, you know? You have to understand, you can't be so pompous when it comes down to babies and being a parent. Nobody is a super dad, no one is a super mom, okay? And that's the truth. I mean, and you're sitting there telling me I'm wrong about this, okay? Listen, you know, I'm not gonna tell every one of you who I say as I'm perfect, okay? I'm just using what I love to do, and this is my passion. I love teaching people how to make parenting easier. It's something I love to do. I'm sorry, but it's something I love to do. What's wrong with that, right? You know, and when you're commenting on people's statuses and saying there's no point and purpose of watching the video, I mean, you're saying that my ways are not perfect, or I'm not saying perfect but proper, okay? So you're calling YWCA parenting programs a liar. You're calling the CAS workers a liar. Even though I hate CAS workers, but in a way, they teach you things as well, right? So who are you to be telling people about basically what you should do and how you're wrong? Because everyone parents differently. It's truth. The next comment is from Tracy Bullock, which is actually my mother. I've mentioned her into a few of my past broadcasts back in the other days before I even started Baby Steps. Tracy was sort of disagreeing. It was more like an argument comment this week, you can say. She mentioned to Courtney Leach on the set, basically, let me know her own son Austin, great job, was so on, and let her know, there's always a physician's comment, meaning a physician will tell you what to do. If your baby is spitting up, if your baby's not taking it, that pretty much means go to the doctor. Okay, this isn't 10 little monkeys jumping on the bed, okay? And it's true. Make sure you go by a physician's advice, and that's what I've done. Always do that. Okay, so besides the point here, to end the show, I want to say thank you to everybody who contributed in the show. I want to say thank you to everybody who watched the show, and most of all, I hope all of you can pass this week's quiz. Have a great day. Thank you for watching the length of the video, and have a great day, and take care now. Welcome to Know Your Baby Quiz, a review of your baby's needs and your parenting skills. Question 1. Using an actual sterilizer recommends you to take your bottle and sterilize it with all the equipment out of the bottle. A. True, or B. False. You have about 5 seconds to answer this question before the answer is set for you. The answer is true. You need to always make sure all your equipment is sterilized before your baby touches that bottle. Question 2. The Baby Steps process sheet recommended that you should always blank before sterilizing your bottle equipment. A. Brush your teeth. B. Wash your hands. Or C. Wash your bottle first. 5 seconds. C. Wash your bottle first to take away every sour smell that's in there that can help your baby have a better way of preventing germs. Question 3. While washing your bottle, how should you perform the proper way? A. Using hot water and soap. B. Using curry and curry goat. Or C. Using laundry detergent with cold water. 5 seconds. It's A. Using hot water and soap. That helps kill the germs that is from the previous bottle makings from the formula. Question 4. Is it okay to sterilize your bottle by hand without protecting your hands from the hot water? A. True, or B. False. 5 seconds. Duh, of course it is false. You always need to use either the double layers of paper towel or latex gloves to help you not to get third-degree burns during making of the bottle. Damn it. Question 5. The most important parts to put in the sterilizer with the rest of your equipment is A. Water. B. Nipples. C. An action figure. Or D. The yellow sticks. The answer is the yellow sticks that help from the steam overcoming the sterilizer along with the water popping out. Six. How much water do you fill up in the sterilizer to help form the steam
and without flammable hazards using a special code called Safety Baby? A. Full, B. Halfway, or C. All of the above? The answer is halfway. If you fill up too much, the water could overflow and maybe cause a fire from the amount of heat and could ruin and damage your equipment. 7. How long should you set your timer on your microwave in order to have your equipment perfectly steamed? A. 50 minutes, B. 1 minute, C. 5 minutes, or D. 4 minutes and 30 seconds? The answer is 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and once your equipment is done being microwaved, your equipment will be perfectly sterilized and incredibly steamed. That is the end of the Know Your Baby quiz. I hope all of you passed today, and I hope all of you remember and memorize everything that you were taught. Have a great day, and tune in next time. GPBBS Incorporated supports this message.